Hey dudes and dudettes, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast, a podcast chock full of everything that is nostalgic about the 80s, 90s, and more, where we chat with our favorite celebrities about our TV or VHS and TV dinner days. This episode, my guest has been running around Hollywood since the 70s, playing countless roles, as well as some of the voices behind some of our favorite iconic characters on TV and film. So I welcome the man, the myth, the voice, Stuart Pankin.
Carlos, a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, I mean, your catalog of material, it's just so deep. It's given Samuel Jackson a run for his money, but we can't go through it all, but I wish we could. It would take probably 48 hours to do that.
Take your time. Go through every single thing.
All right. Well, yeah, I jotted it all down. So I was like, if we have 48 hours, we're going to go through it all. So, but just kind of leading into one of the first things, just jumping right into it. One of the first shows I remember seeing you on was HBO's Not Necessarily the News.
And now the nightly news with Bob Charles.
Hello, I'm Bob Charles, and this is the news. There was a big shakeup today in the Department of Labor. For that story, let's go to Pete Kimmelman, live from Washington.
Well, Bob, that shakeup has got to be big. For today, there is no sign of the Department of Labor, and people in the area pretend like it never was here. The cover-up seems widespread indeed, and the business of government has suddenly been replaced by lumber mills and fisheries. It's quiet here, Bob. Too quiet.
Excuse me, Pete, are you in Washington, D.C. or Washington State?
Gosh, Bob, the plane ticket just said Washington. I'll check it out.
Playing your multiple characters on that show. As I didn't really appreciate it until I was a little bit older, because 1983-ish is when it came out. So I was a little bit older when I got to enjoy it. What was that experience like getting into that show?
It was great. In the beginning, it wasn't so great. We didn't know what was going to happen to it. It was cable when cable was in its infancy. I mean, it was, forgive the language, 29% penetration in the country, and that wasn't even paid cable.
That's
so not necessarily
there.
Yeah, and some of the other shows that came up with us brothers, and it's astounding that considering the small amount of people that started to watch, then it got more popular, of course, that it's still people remember it and admire it today. It was great. The cast was great. We're still friends. The material, the writing was terrific. We had a chance to do, like you say, all kinds of strange, wild, weird characters. And it was when the National Cable Association was was flowering, but coming from its infancy into maturity. So it was like really being in show business. They had these cable association things and the awards, and they treated us very nicely, considering that it was an early cable show. I mean, we filmed all over the place. We filmed in New York. We filmed in Washington. Because of Not the News, the cast went around the country giving, quote, master classes to kids in colleges. I mean, it was a really nice experience, and made more nice by the fact that the people that were in it that we worked with, Mitch Lawrence, Annie Bloom, Danny Breen, Audrey Needham, and Lucy, we're still friends. Well, we're friends with most of them. I haven't seen some of them, but Danny and Annie and Mitch, we hang out, all the time. So that was a real benefit of a nice show and a nice experience.
Yeah, like I said, didn't get to appreciate it till a little bit later, but once I did get to catch some episodes, like the humor is just spot on. Like I was laughing out loud multiple times. Like not that I wasn't expecting to, but like back to back to back to back. Like some of the takes. That's like one of my favorite sketches was the James Dean sausages, which as a kid growing up, I was always confused. I was like, James Dean, why is the guy who's the ladies' man who wears leather jackets selling breakfast sausage? And I was always confused myself. Yeah. And when I saw that,
I got to tell you, you probably, if you've done some research, remember a lot more. I occasionally see on YouTube some not necessarily the new stuff, and I sit here saying, I don't remember this. I don't remember doing it, and it's like new to me. But stuff like that, the parodies we did, the footage. We never put words in anybody's mouth, which was nice. We were very proud about that. But the footage back and forth, interviewing Reagan, interviewing the Dalai Lama, interviewing whoever. I mean, that was really funny stuff.
Oh yeah, for its time too, like early '80s. This, I guess, there weren't too many shows. Of course, there's SNL going on at the same time. Did you guys have comparisons at all? So you're at HBO. You're like on your own network at that point. You really probably weren't
Right.
worried about SNL.
No, we didn't think about Saturday Night Live a lot. Second City was running when we were running, and we occasionally bumped into each other on these cable. But we never, it's an interesting question, but we never said, "Oh, we got to be better than this," and "Oh, we got to be better than that." Because an old theater producer of mine taught me a long time ago, you don't want to. Yeah, you like to be the best, but you don't want to be the only. If people, this was theater, if there were any number of theaters around in the area, and people used to say to him, "Well, we want to be the best. We want to get those audiences." And the producer, Father Tom Devereaux of Latrobe, Pennsylvania, said, "No, you want theater to thrive. You want theater to thrive all over, because if they like, if they like this play over here, then they're going to come to see you." It's the same thing with television comedy, I guess. If they people like Saturday Night Live or Second City, then they will enjoy and sample at least, and hopefully stay with, not necessarily the news.
Yeah, it's a reciprocating process, like you said. If somebody likes one side, they're going to like the other as well.
Yeah.
Well, were you part of the writing team or process at all for the show, or just performance?
Yeah, there were tons of writers on Not Necessarily, including Conan O'Brien, who wrote for us for a season.
Really, that's cool.
We didn't write. We used to say we occasionally rewrote. Sometimes the writers like that. Sometimes the writers
I was going to say to the writers.
But we always did. We always did at least a take or two of what was given, and then if we thought of some, we would add it. If they used it, great. If they didn't, it didn't hurt our feelings, because we just enjoyed performing the stuff. And the stuff was generally, as written, very, very good. Matter of fact, I became very friendly with David Hurwitz, two of our writers, and Larry Arnstein, who later went on to write a Cinemax comedy special for me called Hump, which is a musical version of Richard III. So, it was all kind of, it's so cliche, but it was a family. It was a unit that, the writers and the actors mingled. What we weren't kept in separate cells and fed raw meat, separately. So it all, everybody fed and helped everybody else.
So there's going to be no Lorne Michaels behind the scenes tell-all book from Not Necessarily the News?
I don't think so. I do remember, interesting, that when TV Guide interviewed us a long time ago, before you were born, everybody apparently was so nice that TV Guide called us individually and said, "Look, everybody seems to like each other. Don't you have any dirt? Is there anything, underhanded or something going on?" And the answer is no. I mean, they weren't pleased with that we all liked each other, we all got along, but we all liked each other, we all got along.
I mean, if they wanted dirt, you guys knew to back each other up. And if you had no dirt, or if you did have dirt, you weren't going to give it up. So that's a pretty good sign.
Carlos, there was no dirt.
No dirt at all. Even if they're still trying to dig it up, they're not going to find anything. So yeah, stop digging. Well, so with the humor that you guys were doing on that show, would you think that there's some sketches? Do you think you'd be able to get away with it nowadays with the political correctness, or maybe just the way that the censorship is on TV? What do you think?
Yes, well, absolutely. I mean, we never dealt with political correctness. We didn't. That wasn't a concept that.
Well, I guess how easily offended people can get nowadays.
Yes, they can get easily offended. The nice thing about Not the News is that we had the opportunity to do, quote, nudity, quote, bad language. We never did. I mean, that was a conscious choice with producers.
On HBO, you had the green light.
Yeah, and we never did. There was a couple of shots of, National Geographic women, jump. But that was it. I mean, in the language or sexuality or any kind of political, conscious political incorrectness, no, we didn't do that. Could we do it today? And if we did it today, would we push the boundaries? Yeah, maybe. But back then, it was strictly for laughs. We wanted to get laughs the best way and the funniest way possible without being cheap.
Well, it worked because, like I said, I've watched a few episodes and the laughs are aplenty. So thanks for that little bit of new entertainment that I'll definitely be enjoying over and over. But during your time on Not Necessarily the News, or at least I guess maybe not longer during the time, not long after you landed the role, Mike Dooley in that show nearly departed. And so the premise of this show is outrageous, and I have to read it for everybody to listen to real quick. The series focused on an English professor, Grant Pritchard, and his wife, Claire, who are killed in a rock slide, then return to their home as ghosts to find plumbing contractor Mike Dooley and his family, and wife Liz, son Derek, and his father Jack living there.
Oh no, Claire, they're at it again. It's like watching a National Geographic special.
I think they're cute together.
15 miles outside of Chicago, we broke into a clearing and saw a sight few men have ever seen. The complex mating ritual of Homo Drano suburbus.
Now, when you read this script or premise, how fast did you say yes, and what were your first thoughts?
Well, first of all, thanks for telling me what that was about. Had I known what it was about when we were filming it, I could have done a better job. In those days, and I don't know, it's not a question of how fast, you get a script, you get the job, you do the job. Mm-hmm. I mean, as an old acting teacher says, you're not there to judge the material, you're there to do the job. Now if it's disgusting and you turn it down, that's one thing. But, Eric Idle was in it. Caroline McWilliams was in it. I mean, exactly. These are skillful people. I actually read for a different part. I think I actually read for the Ghost. Mm-hmm. And then they very wisely got Eric Idle, who was I've heard of him before, and I continue to hear about him.
Oh yeah, from that small group,
From that small group of Monty Python. Yes, I jumped at the chance. They gave me the job. I took the job. I enjoyed it. Again, maybe I'm just lucky. Caroline McWilliams, who unfortunately is no longer with us, became a dear, dear friend. She played the wife, the ghost's wife. There were two ghosts. We couldn't see them, but one guy could see. The grandfather could see them. So that was the comedy. Okay, but we became very dear friends. Again, a wonderful byproduct of a nice job, of a nice experience. I can't really think. Sorry for people who are looking for dirt. I can't think of any.
Not going to get to hear people.
That I regret doing. I regret turning down some things, but I can't think about a show that I did that I said, "Oh, I wish I hadn't done that." No, I mean it's all good. Actors want to act, and chances are you're going to run into some interesting people because actors are interesting people.
Yeah, I mean it's all the experience, like you said. Not every role is going to be the number one hit, or it's going to be the blow it out of the park, but the experience, the people you get to work with, that all makes it all worth it. So for a show like that to be on network television, I've heard, this is all from me hearing and not being any part of the process, but I've heard the audition process for network is a little more strenuous than normal. Is that right? You have to go through a couple extra hoops, like audition for in front of a room full of executives. Is that how yours went, or is it a little bit different?
That's exactly how that went, and others. It's a pain in the neck. You go through any number of auditions, you go into a room full of people, and you try to make them laugh. You try to make them interested. You try to do something different without just breaking the outside of the envelope. And that was it. And then you go to network. And again, a bunch of people sitting in a room, and that if you get the job, artistically and financially, it's going to be nice for a while. So the pressure is always on actors to do that. I mean, I guess there are a lot of actors, and I've been offered roles and I've taken roles, but in those days, you had to audition, and you were lucky if somebody said, "Would you like to play this part?" But for the most part, you had to go through that network stuff, and that network stuff was always gut-wrenching.
Yeah, I bet. Like I said, I've seen it in movies. I've seen it played out on TV. I'm like, I wonder if that's really because you've seen it throughout the years. It's been depicted in so many throughout the decades. I'm like, is it still that way? Is they still going through that same process?
Well, I haven't read for a pilot in a while, and I don't know what's going on. I'm guessing that there are so many people, God bless them, whose jobs are on the line. Network executives, casting people, producers, and everybody's, for lack of a better word, scared. They don't want to be the one to hire the wrong person. They don't want to be the one not to hire the person they should have hired. So there's tension. Soon as the concept of network casting comes into the picture, it's just one big banana filled with mushy tension. You told me on that.
That's probably the perfect way to explain it. Because the way I've viewed it, it's just the awkwardness and just it's just like
Yeah.
And even when they they get the part, you're just like they still had to go through that stressful part of the
But that's the other thing. Once you get the part, you gotta deliver. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
On your shoulders now. I mean, any number of times that I've heard of never me, but guys have gotten the job and then they've been replaced. I was I did a pilot once, and a woman who shall remain nameless came in and read for the lead. She was cast as the lead. We had the table reading, which is basically people sitting around reading the script. We went away from lunch. We came back. It was a different actress. They had fired her during lunch. So things very strange. I mean, I remember Valerie Harper, God bless her. She was a star of her own show. They replaced her. I mean, so it's not just the audition. It's you gotta come up with the goods.
That's true. I have seen pilots that have had this one character and then episode 2, completely different person. So
that's right. That's exactly right.
And of course, people who don't know or as well, pilots are shot, and then it could be weeks, months, or however long between they shoot the second episode. So they have a lot of decisions can be made in between that time. So just after Neely departed, you landed the role as Sheriff Lloyd Parsons in Arachnophobia.
There's a rumor going around that some kind of spider might have killed Sam Metcalf.
Doubtful.
Spiders make convenient culprits.
There's no spider here.
I think one of your Venezuelan spiders hitched a ride here. There may be some spiders around here that are very dangerous.
God, chill out.
Just run.
They spread out from a central nest in a web-like pattern and dominate the entire area. When that happens, this town is dead.
Better uncork my private stock.
Rock and roll!
Which is a movie that it's taken me at least 3 viewings to get through in my lifetime, just because I am just deathly scared of spiders. So what was it like working on that set? Were you afraid of spiders to begin with, or were you just kind of like you're in the zone when you're there?
Well, first of all, talking about auditions, that was an interesting job because I was called in and I met with Frank Marshall, who was the director. Never auditioned, never read. We sat around, talked for 10, 15 minutes. That's it. And I left, and all of a sudden I got the call, you got the job. So that was one of the nicer things. Now, as far as Arachnophobia, first of all, we filmed it in a place called Cambria in mid-California, which was gorgeous. I mean, beautiful. And I just my son was very young, and my wife, and he came up and visited, and that was nice. As far as the script is concerned and the spiders are concerned, we were working apparently with New Zealand spiders. Those were the main spiders. They apparently cost approximately $1,100 a spider.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we were, and they always controlled it with hair dryers. That's how you control them when they were running around the ball. But there was a day when we all had to come and have them walk on us. So we were used to the spiders, and they were not little, these were nice.
Those are hand-sized.
Yeah, they were spiders. And so because of $1,100, they didn't want somebody to be during the scene and the spider gets on, you go, there you go, $1,100 down. So we had people, the spiders walking on us, and it was okay. It was kind of interesting. I remember John Goodman, who was in the movie, he was just into it, man. It was like a ballet of his hands and the spiders walking on him. That was fun. It was great. Again, nice people, nice cast. There was an actor who, again, is no longer with us, Roy Brocksmith, who we became very good friends. And there was an actress named Kathy in that movie. I don't remember her last name, but we were all. I actually wrote a song for Arachnophobia, which they used in the trailer.
I was gonna say, is it on the soundtrack?
What?
Is it on the soundtrack, or you said they used it for the trailer?
No, they just used it for the trailer. It's a sweet little town. Take a bus, come on down. Canaima waits for you. At the end of the trip, you'll find blood on your lip. Canaima waits for you. Feel the tickle, the bite as you turn out the light. It's amazing what spiders can do. And I forget the rest.
It was creepily beautiful.
It was creepily beautiful. And the nice thing was some of the cast went to South America or something to film the beginning of that movie. I didn't have to go, which was really great. But they used a wonderful combination of real spiders and animatronic spiders. Like when Jeff Daniels was fighting the spiders at the end, there was some real spiders, and yet there was a really big, fake spider. Kathy Kinney, that was her name, Kathy Kinney.
Okay. Yeah, Jeff Daniels, John Goodman. Let me see who else he worked with.
Harley
Harley Kozak, Brian
Brian McNamara.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid cast. What was it like just you guys as a crew working together?
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, Brian and Jeff became real close. I was older and tireder, so Henry Moore, the old character actor, Henry Moore. We had dinner with him, my wife and I. Henry Jones, a wonderful old character actor. He died early in the movie, but it was just a treat to work with him. And again, I'm sorry, Carlos. I like it. I'm Mr. Happy. I had a good time with everybody there. Peter Jason was in that movie. Peter Jason is an actor who never stops working, and he's become a dear friend. We've been dear friends for 25 years. So
it seems like every experience or every role you've had seems to have brought you some new friends or new experiences. So it's nothing wrong with being positive. If you get nothing but positive experiences, you gotta spread the love, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, and the interesting thing is, I don't know if it's interesting. When I was doing Not Necessarily the News, a movie that came before, I think, Arachnophobia was Fatal Attraction. And as I was filming Not Necessarily the News, Adrian Lyne, God bless his soul, wanted me in the movie. The producer said, "We're shooting in New York, get a New York actor." And Adrian Lyne, God bless his soul, said, "I want Stuart Pankin." And then because of that, I flew in once a week for a month to shoot that movie, to shoot my scenes in that movie, and then come back to do Not Necessarily the News. And that's a gift that keeps on giving, and I'm very, very happy about that.
Yeah, anyway. Another iconic one with Michael Douglas and Glenn Close.
And Archer.
Oh yes, yeah. So your character was Jimmy in that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just juggling so many things throughout your time at Not Necessarily the News, and then you had your TV stuff and jumping into the film. So you definitely kept yourself very busy throughout the 80s and into the 90s, which one of the early 90s shows that, thanks to you, my Friday nights were filled with entertainment for about a solid decade on TGIF with your iconic role as Earl Sinclair on the show Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Not the mama, 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 not the mama.
You do that one more time and I'm going to throw you across the room.
Not the mama! Wee! Again!
Dinosaurs. So as a voice actor, what is it essentially to watch a show evolve? That show itself evolved from just a regular show to the cultural phenomenon that it became.
Well, that's very sweet of you to say that. It was the most expensive half-hour television show at the time, maybe still, because of all the puppetry and the animatronics. If you ever visited the set and watched how those guys did the puppets and the eyes and the mouth, and it was astounding.
And that was the Henson Company, right?
That was the Henson Company. Brian, I think Jim had died.
Yeah, he just passed it down to his son.
He passed it to his son, Brian, who's great. And Bill Beretta, actually, who was inside Earl, is now a big producer, executive in the Henson Company. So that was really good for him.
And he paid
as far as Dinosaurs, I'm proud of Dinosaurs because, I think every actor in LA auditioned for Dinosaurs because it was a great job. I mean, voiceover work is great. You can show up naked, you put a bathrobe on, you sit down, you talk with some crazy people who talk funny, and you work with them. And then you go home. Dinosaurs was always a job I used to say I loved having, and it was very hard doing because you're in a room and the puppets, the Henson people mouthed the voice as the puppetry, as the mouths were moving. And my guy was a little English guy who was not right for Earl. He was like, "Oh no, I'm home, honey. It's nice to talk to you. It's great, being here. Where's the?" So I had to replace that. And that's a process that was a touch tedious, but very glad to do it.
Well, and then also, your voice is more prominent out there. It's getting out there every Friday night. Millions of people are listening to it. So when you're walking around ordering food at a restaurant, did someone just say, "Earl, is that you?"
That's a very interesting question. That happens occasionally. The most startling one was we were in a pretty noisy restaurant in Hollywood, and I'm just talking to my wife. I'm not doing Earl. And a guy comes up and says, "Excuse me, were you Earl in Dinosaurs?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'm a sound guy at Warner Brothers, and I have an ear for voices, and your voice sounded like I knew that it was Earl." But I get recognized, occasionally, for some of the on-screen stuff, but I don't often get recognized for Earl. But the nice thing is about working for Disney, whatever I do for Disney, when they find out you're working for Disney, whatever it is, Dinosaurs or Raven or Xena or whatever it is, the young kids, boy, you are, not God, but you are certainly celebrated in their eyes.
Well, you're king at that point. So to them, you're that giant dinosaur lurking around that little cave dwelling on the show. So they just think, hey, he's the guy in the suit. So of course it's Earl. So
a lot of people think
awesome.
I'm in the suit. You got to be a lot better shape to be in the suit.
I was gonna say, I'm sure a lot of people think that you're in the. Do you get sweaty? They're like, no, I'm not in the suit. It's not me.
But some of those actors have actually lost height because of being in those big suits.
Not surprising. Those things I did watch it behind the scenes a while back, and I remember seeing they talked about how heavy they were. They had people getting claustrophobic sometimes. They had to take off the mask. So yeah, people think it's all fun and games, but it's hard work. It's hard work being in the suits.
It ain't breaking rocks and laying asphalt, but it's as far as acting is concerned, it's that part of it is physical,
stressful on the body to say the least.
Yeah.
So last thing about the show. So what were your thoughts on the so-called controversial ending in regards to the family just awaiting their doom? Were you just like, why is everyone all in uproar about it, or were you like, yeah, this is kind of a different ending?
I thought it was great. The show was never strictly for adults and never strictly for children. And that ending, a lot of parents, I guess, I don't know the specifics, called in and said, how can you have that family die just waiting to die? The people. Yeah, and I understand that because kids did watch the show, but wasn't only for kids. And I thought it was very touching the way they ended the way they ended the show and had they didn't show everybody going up in flames, but the implication of what was going to happen, I thought was very, very moving. Very smart.
The show did deal with even though it was a show about dinosaurs, it dealt with real life, modern time kind of situations. So why not have the impending doom of what could end our Earth here?
I mean, talk about political correctness. That Dinosaurs, I think we had an episode called "What Sexual Harassment," and it had things about drugs and the ecology. I mean, they went for it, and. So the ending, I think, was in keeping with the spirit of the show.
Well, I think looking back at the time, people overreacted, and people looking back at it, no one's ever happy with show endings, regardless. So no matter what you guys did, nobody was going to be happy. So you might as well just toss it up and see how people like it. But moving on to some other things in '90s.
Move on, baby.
We got to keep the train moving. You're in two of my favorite mid to late '90s movies, Big Bully and We Shrunk Ourselves.
Have a nice trip. So you say he hounds you for no apparent reason? Ow! Sissy fire! Ha! That he chases you down the street screaming your name?
Dad, Miss Larry?
Are we shrunk?
You shrunk us? You idiot! Don't kill me. You can step on us.
Now, first of all, Big Bully, I just can't tell enough people to watch this movie just because of everything that's going on in the movie, the premise, and just the way the it was filmed. So, and of course, you work with Rick Moranis in both movies, and you talked about SCTV. He was on there. You guys probably worked together. So, what brought you guys together for both these movies? Was that just a coincidence, or do you want to work together?
No, it was a coincidence. I mean, it would have been great for me to say, yeah, Rick wanted me to be in the movie.
Rick just gave you a call, and yeah.
I auditioned for both of them, as I recall. You're talking about ancient history here, but and we filmed it in Toronto or Vancouver, one of those places, and it was great. I wasn't in it a lot, but it was a fun scene. It was a fun bunch of people, and I thought the movie was kind of interesting the way it dealt with that subject of bullying. I haven't seen it in a long time, but again, my memory of working on that set wherever we were was extremely pleasant. All the people we worked with, it was a little scene, but nice.
And then on Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, it seems like most of the movie is going to be mostly green screen surrounding. So I'm sure that was an experience. Or so, have you had any prior experience or previous experience working on green screen, or was that your first time?
No, it wasn't my first time, and not necessarily the news. We did some green screen. I remember playing an angel and devil on the guy's shoulder, and that was green screen. I was a devil here, and then we filmed the angel, and they popped him onto the guy's shoulder. But Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves was 80% green screen. And it was also, interestingly enough, the first made-for-video movie. It was a movie that was made to go into the box, into in those days VHS. And it was basically a four-hander. I mean, it was me and Rick and our wives, Eve Gordon, and oh dear God, my wife was an incredibly wonderful actress, and my wife's going to look him up now. So, probably,
you got
but it was basically the four of us on green screen in these sets, which was really interesting. I mean, with big, occasionally the oversized prop or running around, and you got to look here, and there's a spider, and you got to look there, and there's a kid ready to step on you, and the cars going. It was different. It was different, and a tremendous amount of fun. I remember Rick and I. We were seen in a bubble, and one of the reasons, and then we ended up they dropped us in what was supposed to be dip, and literally it was this huge bathtub full of garbage, and they dropped us into this stuff, and we were hanging up there getting ready, and all of a sudden, Rick, I looked over and I said, "There's a little piece of dust on your thing." Now we're just about to be dropped into this and he starts to laugh. And he can't stop. He was like, probably, we're going to be in dip. We're going to be in a bathtub of clay, and you're worried that there's a tear on my shirt. He was so great. He was just great.
Yeah. So what was it like? I know he took a break not long after that, or maybe around that time he took a break from acting, for personal reasons. And what's that?
For me.
Rick at that point.
Well, yeah, he lost somebody around that time.
So that's always unfortunate.
And he said, and it's admirable. He said, "Look, I have kids at home, and I'm not going to take my time away from those kids to make movies." I mean, he made a lot of movies and a lot of television shows, and I thought that was admirable. It was a great choice.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, once I heard that news, because of course at some point you're like, oh, what happened to good old Rick Moranis? And you read up, you're like, yeah, it's a commendable reason. So no, I was just glad you guys got to work with each other. It seems like on those couple of projects, you had some good times especially on Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. So
Robin Bartlett, that was the name of my wife.
Oh, there you go, Redemption. Very nice, very nice. Well, kind of talking about your overall, all your roles that you've been in, like you said, like. Not necessarily news, just kind of open doors for a bunch of different roles. So out of all the roles that you played, which character that you can remember, I guess, which character would you want to have their own movie?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting question. I mean, I'm just saying this to tap dance a little bit. I mean, I've done like 150 projects.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to dig into the vault.
I'm not saying that to brag. I mean, a lot of people have done a lot more. I'm just saying, of all those characters, what one would I want a movie? Oh my God!
Yeah, I hate to stump you, but if I did,
wow. Well, maybe it would have been Jimmy in Fatal Attraction. That's an interesting guy. A combination of a kind of a smart lawyer and a funny guy. Wow. Carlos, what an interesting question. I don't think I've ever been asked that question.
I had to come in with a different angle. You know, I know
people
you've
say,
done
what's your favorite character? I mean, and that's, almost impossible. People come up to me in the street and say, you're an actor, and I say, yeah. He says, what have you been in? And I say, well, what have you seen? I'll tell you if I've been in it.
You got to pull out like the old wallet that has the pictures of the kids that like folds out with the list of everything.
When I used to do celebrity golf tournaments, I used to print up a little resume, so these guys who I never met, they say, what have you done? I said, here. There's some things I've done.
Save yourself some time.
Let me think. Let's push on. If I could think of who would I like to live with and live in that skin of that person for a movie?
I'll let you marinate on it for a few minutes. The next question I had is kind of going in, as I mentioned it earlier, I know you've done these recent podcasts like this, like fans like myself, before asking you to come on their podcast. What are your thoughts on like the whole like nostalgic, trend going on? People reaching out to you, fans reaching out to you directly to speak to you on this type of medium, as opposed to, we used to have to just watch you on ET or something like that.
I love it. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm glad you guys are out there. I have done a few of these things in interviews, and it's always, it's a touch humbling, although actors are never humble. It's certainly gratifying that now that there's a forum that you guys can go and talk. I mean, I love it. I mean, I sit here in this nice, comfortable chair and look at your background. I'm figuring out the lay of your room here. I see it in the mirror.
I got my toy shelf back here. Got some paintings. I got my little, I guess, the man cave that my wife allows me to have in our apartment here.
That's just the man cave. Okay.
Yeah. So I got my whole little setup, my couch and my TV and everything. So so just trying to take advantage as long as I can before it turns into the baby's room of some sort.
And to get more of an answer, it's great. I mean, as far as nostalgia, as far as the stuff, because 80s, 90s, even the 2000s. I don't know if you call the 2000s nostalgia, but it's great that people remember anything that people remember you. I mean, there are a lot of actors who've been famous, mostly television, and then to be honest with you, they're gone. I mean, they're just not. I mean, the things that sometimes keeps you alive too are game shows. I used to do a lot of game shows with a lot of actors who were, not actively working at the time. I think I was, but some of them, and it keeps that alive. I mean, and you guys and that stuff, it's all great. It's all, it's all gratifying, and it's I'm grateful for it.
Good. Yeah, like myself included, we just love reaching out and be able to pick your brain about some of the experiences or talk about a certain moment in the show that we just kind of nerd out about, like, well, what happened in that show? Well, what were you doing there? Kind of a thing. So yeah, we get to not only nerd out in person, but we could do it on the internet now in person as well. So speaking of game shows, I have a little segment that I want to try out that it's called Did I Say That? Where I will read off a few quotes from a certain movie or TV show you're a part of, and if you remember your lines. So I'll let you know what show it is so you're not completely thrown off. So we're going to start off with Dinosaurs. And try and throw you a little softball to start out. So the first one. Not the mama. Maybe I learned something today. Or, honey, I'm home.
Which one of those two lines did I say?
Which one is yours?
Honey, I'm home.
Honey, I'm home. There you go. He's on the board for the first one, folks. We're one down, two more to go. Now, from Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. These kids are messy eaters, so there'll be plenty of crumbs for us to eat. Next. I'm going to stay mad at you the whole time. And, oh yeah, what are you going to do about it, Thumbelina?
Wow. Which I said one of those lines?
One of them was definitely yours.
So the crumbs, I don't think it's the crumbs. So what are you going to do about a Thumbelina? I'm guessing, what are you going to do about a Thumbelina?
There you go. Boom.
Is that right?
Yes, your memory is still intact.
Well, it's also the kind of line that character probably would say.
Oh, yeah. He's rocking the attitude. You know it. You know it. So, all right, last one. Arachnophobia.
Uh-oh.
A, the itsy bitsy spider crawled up the water spout.
No.
B, actually, he's probably still at the bottom of my shoe.
No, that's good. That's definitely good.
Or C, Now, he believes he came across one of the offending spiders a couple hours ago.
That's it.
There you go. 3 for 3, folks. We got a 3 for 3. He does remember his own lines. Congratulations, Stuart.
The brain still works.
Still, all you casting directors, man can remember his lines still. Get him on there. So yeah, that was.
I can't say him, but I can remember him.
Hey, as long as you remember him, you got it up there. So that was one of the last things I want to go over. But I still, you said you want to go for Jimmy as your character that you would form your movie around. Is that what you chose?
I think Jimmy would be okay. Oh God, I'm just trying to.
Are you gonna go off and write a short script about it later tonight?
No, I'm just trying, like I said, which character would I like to get up in the morning and look forward to playing? I'm going to go with Jimmy.
All right, Jimmy's the winner. So everyone finds someone writes a short script, let us know. We'll get it in there. So, well, Stuart, that was everything I wanted to go over. Again, I do appreciate you taking the time to come on. Let everybody know where they can find you on the internet, what your next projects are, what's going on in your life.
Well, I'm the internet. Where can you find me on the internet? Facebook, I guess. I mean, I don't have a
I hunted you down on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. I do that. My daughter-in-law forced me to join Twitter, so I'm not real good at that. Facebook would be a place to go. There's a producer that I've worked with in the past is working on a movie. Written by some of the SNL guys, actually. At least that's one of the writers. So he's trying to get that in production. I just finished a small web pilot, an Amazon web pilot called. Never mind what it's called. It's none of your business. I forget.
We'll find out eventually.
But I'll tell you. I'm gonna email you when I figure out what the pilot is. But that's what I do. And a lot of theater. I mean, I enjoy doing theater. I just did a play in November, and I'm hoping to do other shows in LA, specifically in Santa Monica Playhouse, which is a place that I really enjoy working. But that's what I'm doing: the small stuff, the web stuff, the independent stuff, independent movies, and playing some golf and playing some poker and hanging out with the fam.
Just relaxing, doing the voiceover work in the PJs, right?
Well, actually, yeah. I just did get a new commercial voiceover agent, so and I'm starting to do some voiceover auditions. Which, like I said, you show up in your underwear. Nowadays, you do it in your room, like you set up a little studio like you do. You do that stuff in your room. So I'm hoping that'll work because that'll be great.
Well, just keep living the life. We'll check up on you. We'll catch up again eventually. So again, thanks for taking the time. Everybody else, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast. For more episodes on movie news and nostalgia, subscribe, like, and follow the podcast on iTunes, Twitter, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So thanks.
Damn busy.
Be excellent to each other. Yep. Get me out there. Thanks and be excellent to each other. Bye-bye.